even sure I was going to break this trailer down. But you know what convinced me? DC fans need to eat too. You guys need some love. I'm still a DC fan. I have a love-hate relationship with them, which has only deepened over the last few months. And I have a love-hate relationship with this trailer. Some aspects of it are awesome, and some aspects are not good enough, which is frustrating because then you're like, you wasted the good aspects of this, which is really just DC in a nutshell these days. And most Warner Brothers franchises. Boy, I hope they get it. I hope they get this thing on track. They got such great IPs, and they just wasted them. But yeah, there's D23 this weekend, but you're not getting a DC fandom this year. Probably not ever again, quite frankly. So I think we should break it down. Let's go back to the world of DC. We'll take what we can get, which I think has been the DC fan slogan for a little bit too long. And I think Warner Brothers has gotten comfortable in that space. All right, here we go. So we start off, some of you feel this is a reference to the Man of Steel shot. Some of you are like, but I mean, I've seen a lot of bodies floating in waters over the years in cinema, but it's just a gorgeous shot. It's very pretty. I like that he's in the ice, and I believe this is where they find him. A little Captain America-y. You know, I gotta say, The Rock is like skipping through the forest of comic book movies, picking a smorgasbord of what he'd like to borrow from or pay homage to. So here's his Captain America nibble. So he's frozen in the ice without his shirt on. And, you know, we've seen those shots before about what happened to his son. Look at that. I mean, it's hard for me to get angry when he just looks so great. I mean, this is where The Rock's exercises and hours upon hours in the gym pay off. Because, you know, he's in a harness. He's not actually flying. I know the VFX are good on this movie, but he's not actually flying. But so often, they can't plank correctly. Oh my God, he looks amazing. He looks like a bunch of muscle coming right at you, you know, with lightning. He's got all the fancy lights and bells and whistles. But he just looks incredible to me. I mean, he looks really cool. Like, I've talked about this with video games where, you know, you have a physique that actors usually don't have. So in comics and video games where these things are characters are created from scratch, they have the right look. They look like athletes. But in movies, you know, they look like, you know, roided up, theater kids. Hilarious. But he looks fantastic. Oh my God, I love it. So that was like, when I saw that shot, I was like, maybe this movie at least it's got some eye candy. So I think we've seen that shot before. There's a cooler shot. There's a new one of him lighting up later in the trailer. So this was also an interesting addition. So he catches one bullet. I mean, the rest of them, you know, he's getting showered in bullets, but it interests him. He's like, what is this? You know, he's been frozen. He's been hidden for a long time. And I actually really liked this, where he says, you know, in his old foreign, you know, his old ye old language, which I think is really a great choice. He says, your magic is weak. You know, as what Thor said, again, borrowing from another movie. I guess, you know, comic books have been borrowing from each other for decades. You know, there's only so many ideas, as Shakespeare said. But I just think that, you know, Thor said, you know, science, you know, magic is just science that hasn't been, you know, figured out yet. Although I don't really think that's true in the Thor franchise. But anyway, I think it's interesting that he says your magic is weak, because he thinks this is magic, and he's like, it, you know, doesn't even tickle. It just is an annoyance. And then he hits back, which I think is great. By the way, I love the way the bullets are kind of making his hood move. That's really neat. See, I told you, there's stuff here that I think is fantastic. And then he gets a little, speaking of Man of Steel, he gets a little Feora action. It makes me miss it. It looks like Feora meets the Batman warehouse fight in Batman v Superman. I'm like, those were the days. And, you know, and just the way he takes these guys out. They've shot at him so he can kill them. It's, you know, it's movie rules. So he electrocutes that guy right through the rock. And that's cutting it, you know, I wonder what part of the sequence this is, because that's obviously a different space. Maybe he's busting out. So I don't care if the JSA live in a castle in real life, and some of you are like, Doom Patrol did it first. X-Men did it the most famous first. You know, I always tell you, whoever does it to the biggest group first wins. So John Carter can cry all he wants, but everybody knows who Superman is instead of John Carter. And now it even looks like the X-Men mansion. It even looks like the X-Men mansion. I can't believe that nobody making this movie wasn't like, excuse me, But 20th Century Fox and the X-Men films already did this. And Deadpool on top of it. When audiences see this, they automatically think X-Men. I know some of you are like, I don't, Grace. Well, I'm very glad you're such a loyal DC fan. But for most of us, we're like, did I switch over to a different movie? It's jarring. It takes you out of it. There are a lot of nice fancy houses, thank you very much. They could live in a ton of nice houses. I'll take you on a realtor tour of beautiful mansions. All right, so we've seen this shot before. I like this. I think this stuff's good. I think it's going to have very good action sequences. So they're like, he's been around for a long time, man. Now, I got to tell you, I love Aldous Hodge. I think he's very talented, and he should be playing Mr. Terrific. And this is why some people say that you shouldn't change existing characters, but you should find, other characters that haven't been done yet that fit the demographic that you want to showcase and highlight. And Mr. Terrific is an incredible character. And so I would much prefer that Aldous Hodge play Mr. Terrific. Instead, he seems to be playing not only Hawkman, but some kind of T'Challa ripoff, which I can't believe they would have the chutzpah to even try to do that. I mean, if I were Aldous Hodge, I guess he's just happy to have the role, but I'd be like, please don't make me try and rip off Black Panther. I just don't really think that's appropriate. So I just have, and there's some other thing else that you'll see. So I do like seeing Amanda Waller. I'm not gonna lie. I like seeing her. I think Viola, I still feel, I see no reason, why Viola Davis, can't be a little bit more of a visually interesting role. I would talk to the hair and makeup and the costume department, but Viola Davis is a force of nature, and she's just phenomenal here. And I'm very happy to see her being used in other places. This is the way Amanda Waller should be used, and just any kind of world building all makes me very happy, because that's what DC should have been doing for years now. So who's on the team? So you see, Aldous Hodge's Hawkman is walking, very regal. I guess that's kind of like the background of Hawkman and stuff like that. But I think it's a mistake. I wouldn't have done it. He should be Mr. Terrific. It still fits with the entire movie. It would be better. All right. That's why it's annoying. So they're like, we don't need passports. We break laws all the time here at the JSA. I like that Pierce Brosnan's Dr. Fate is still wearing his archaeological clothes just in case you forgot his backstory. He has to carry his helmet all over the place. If Pierce Brosnan ever actually put on that suit, I'd be amazed. The Dr. Fate suit, that's purely a CGI double and stuff like that. And he just walks around on set in this costume carrying around this helmet. I'm like, what are you keeping in there, Pierce? It's like some snacks, my cell phone. All right. So yeah, even the back thing opens up like the X-Men. I'm annoyed. So I don't like that his helmet, I know some of you are like, it's canon, it's nth metal. I don't care. I mean, and also I can just see, it's just too VFX-y. I don't like this part at all. And like the way it crawls over his head like that, I'd be like, can it look cooler? I'm just tired of nobody actually wearing a real helmet. I mean, I guess it's hard to make that look good, but I don't like it. So all right, so there's Dr. Fate, and then Pierce Brosnan shows up. But I love this Dr. Fate. Dr. Fate looks incredible. And I really respect that they were able to differentiate him tonally from Doctor Strange. So he doesn't feel like a Doctor Strange ripoff. You're like, wow, who's this cool character? So Black Adam's like, who are you losers? And they're like, we're bringing you in. There's CGI Rock, who, by the way, looks amazing. CGI Rock looks fantastic. He looks great. That's a great CGI double. And he's got great poise. That's regal action for you there. He's like, and turn. All right. He says, I don't surrender. And again, these are like old school. I was able to guess them. They're old school Hollywood action hero lines. So, but I think there's an interesting aspect to it, which we'll talk about in a moment. So he's like, I don't surrender. And then we see Cyclone coming in. I do appreciate the VFX on Cyclone. That's very cool. But it gets even cooler in a minute. So she rains down, and I love that shot. That looks like a comic book cover, which is why I like the shot. I'm like, oh, it's so great. That's awesome. He doesn't even flinch. Oh, I love it. So I'm like, you missed. I guess she's just trying to capture him. So there is the malice, or the mace. It's been supercharged. I'll just tell you, Hawkgirl didn't need all these, shenanigans. Although look at those hawk knuckles. That's pretty cool. But he still loses this fight apparently. So here we go. This is a great shot though. Oh, it's beautiful. That nice form. 10 from the committee, from the judging committee. 10s across the board. And then he grabs him by the neck, and that's embarrassing. All the rotating. He can do all the rotating and knuckle punching he wants. If you can't do it, if you can't reach him, he's flapping his wings. Oh, this is bad. Okay? And Black Adam zaps him. He's like, the electric bill is here. You just got charged. I can do it all day. All right, so, and then he says, I don't surrender. And I think that he's really kind of alluding to the fact that he started out his life, hundreds or thousands of years ago as a slave, and he's never going back to that because of the horrible price he paid with his son and I believe his wife's sacrifice. So I feel the trailer should have maybe gone that extra step so it seemed a little less cliche. All right. The Rock is avoiding, doing the raised eyebrow here. He's like, that's how I separated The Rock from Black Adam. So look, here's Dr. Fate. He's multiple Dr. Fates because he's not real. He's CGI. And I love this, though. I love the way he captures him. He's like, I'll show you. And he captures him in a star. Poetic and effective. That's really cool. So this, this is, supposedly going to become ISIS. And, just like a good love interest and pairing in comic books, she's going to balance him. She's going to calm his rage and focus it so he can be a productive member of society. So she's like, you're not here. You're here for revenge. And revenge only brings about more, an eye for an eye and the whole world is blind, all that stuff. So this is actually, I believe, from a little bit later. This is actually the same shot, and this is the second half of it. So there's Atom Smasher, a.k.a., Ant-Man, Giant Man. But he lights up, thank you very much. And there's Cyclone there, protecting herself from debris. That's pretty cool. And he's remembering his son. That's very sad. So we saw that before. The VFX are done on the car melting, though. Very nice. And he's like, fate doesn't make mistakes. I had a dream that you were going to stick around for a long time and have a franchise and be an anti-hero. Dwayne Johnson's like, funny, I had the same dream. So I think that's them fighting the actual villain with the flames. They put themselves out. There's Intergang. And that is a great shot of Dwayne Johnson. Oh, wow, look at him. Look at him. He's like, yeah, the hips don't lie. He looks fantastic. He's like, yep, I live in the gym. And it shows. So look, this guy's cooling off. That's great. The water is bubbling around him as he emerges. And this was ruined by a toy release, as usual. And this is actually a Shazam villain, who's now, again, Dwayne Johnson. Yoink, whatever he needs. Sabbac. And just like and all the Shazam characters, it's an acronym. It's all these demons combined into one. Some of them, Satan and Beelzebub. I heard of you guys. And then also it's transformative. When you say Sabbac, you become this character, and I'm not going to ruin because it's on the toy box, but, a character in the movie takes on this form. And he becomes the real villain that unites everybody and shows Black Adam the error of his ways. I mean, come on, you can see it coming from a gazillion miles away at this point. Because we see this story so many times now in comics and animation and movies. So yeah, so this is great though. They kept the striped stocking. See, this is the beauty of comics accuracy. I love it. She really paints a great picture. That's really cool. I love this. Beautiful. I do think this movie should have some cool action sequences. Look at that. It reminds me a little bit of cutscenes from a video game, to be honest with you, rather than a movie. So enter gang. So there he is. And this is the first half of that shot, I believe. It's because here comes Atom Smasher to smash. But look at Dwayne Johnson's. That's the thing. I'm not even saying Black Adam. I'm like, oh, look, there's Dwayne Johnson. So Dwayne Johnson, though, I do like the way his eyes are lit up. Storm kind of like. He's like, I got here first, Storm. Although I wish that his lightning was maybe yellow to match the emblem in his chest. He's got like maybe a little bit too many different, I feel like it's not, the thematicness is all over the place, I think it doesn't seem as crisp as I would like it to. But still, he looks really cool. And he's like, what, is there something on my face? Nope, you're about to get smashed. And I love the way he lands there. Oh my God, look at the way he's holding his legs. That is fantastic. It's very hard to do. You have to take some muscle control. You have to be, really alert to hold yourself like that. I wonder if that's like he has CGI legs, or if Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, is really doing that. And what an entrance. I wish we could see him land. I'm like, did he really land? Because they kind of hide his feet when he lands. And I'm like, that is cool. What an entrance. And look at his cape. He looks fantastic there. He looks great. I mean, he looks so cool. I really, again, I feel this is what this reminds me of. It reminds me of cutscenes or a video game trailer rather than a movie trailer, which means it'll have some really cool things for us to see. But I don't really know how I feel about it as cinema. Although I got to tell you, a lot of you are saying Marvel is getting less and less cinematic as well. So, it's tough out there. The competition is fast and furious. So I think this will do okay. As I said before, I see this being, very much like Hobbs and Shaw, Dwayne Johnson's Fast and Furious movie. And that performed okay, but you'll notice they never made another one. So I don't really know. I think, let's see how Dwayne Johnson likes being part of the DC, universe, or if he wants to just go on. We'll see. We'll see what happens. He's got a lot of a lot of irons in the fire, a lot of things that he's working on. Again, I think this movie's success really hinges on whether or not he can get Henry Cavill to show up, even for just a second. All right, so what do you think? Share your thoughts down below. Subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.